So, I've done the maths, roughly.
Okay.
Obviously, we haven't recorded in a while.
Yeah.
So, if we do a podcast on, the TwitchCon stuff,
Yep.
the MCM stuff,
Yep.
the Efteling stuff as well, I think that kind of counts.
Yeah.
Kind of prepping for MF3 and Kit, the stuff on the Court of Daggers.
Mm-hmm.
I think this podcast will be about 7 hours long.
Right.
Oh, and MF3, so let's add another hour or 8 hours.
Can we split it into parts?
That's a bad idea. It won't work.
No. Why don't we just do MF3 for this one?
Yeah, let's just do MF3.
Let's just do MF3. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the AfterLARP podcast, the podcast that we record straight after getting back from a LARP event.
Yes, it is the Monday. On the Sunday, we were at MF3, the third event, and it is going to be a wonderful little recap.
I'm very tired.
We're very tired. First, introductions. My name is Stephen, but I'm also known as the Sweetsmith on the field.
My name is Ella. I play Saphira Desetting Sun, also known as the Songbird of Portavus.
So we're going to do the kind of same thing that we do with the other podcasts, where we kind of do a recap of the big things, then we talk about our hots, nots, and forget-me-nots, and then we're going to kind of go into some of the things that happened in the long gap between the 3 months, so some of the patch notes that came out, some of the big changes, and then a little bit of talk for the future, any plans for MF4.
But we've got a lot to talk about before then, so don't get sad. Stay here.
Yes, no, stay here, but before you go anywhere, click the like button, click the subscribe button, leave a comment. We are actually looking for a name for our camping wagon, so the best name will win, and I'll announce that at MF4's podcast.
Yep.
Betsy is the front runner at the moment.
I suggested Betsy.
Yeah. So if you can beat Betsy the camp wagon, then pop it down in the comments.
So, a lot happened this weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to start with our usual Cliff Notes mini recap.
Yes.
Because we don't have time to tell you every little thing in detail, do we?
Because then it would be an 8 hour long podcast.
It would be an 8 hour long podcast, and I have a lot to do today.
Yes. So, we will start with what happened. What was your Friday like and Saturday and Sunday?
My Friday started out great. So the downtime option that I took this event had some fun consequences, and I didn't start the event in the field.
Yes, you didn't, did you?
So maybe you want to tell us how your event started, and then I can tell everyone about that.
Well, we had a bunch of new Hammerstatters, which is always wonderful. It's great to see both the field itself grow and our wonderful nation grow. So we do a little kind of, meet and greet, gathering, introductions. I think we're going to kind of have to change it up because we are getting too big for it, and it does take about half an hour to an hour now. So I think it's going to be coteries at a time introducing each other. So we kind of introduce ourselves, say who we are, what we're doing, are we any healers?
Anything else happen on Friday?
I think that's about it, aside from involving stuff with you.
Fair enough.
Because I then went over to Portavus once you arrived back and listened to you performing.
Yeah. So, before we get to that bit, like I said, the downtime option that I chose in between MF2 and MF3 wasn't a military-focused downtime. Essentially, we chose to go on holiday. There was a pleasure cruise, and we said, yes, we deserve a holiday. We're in the middle of the war. Nothing will go wrong. Spoiler alert, everything went wrong. We got attacked by something, and so I didn't start the event in the field like we usually do. Usually Portavus does a similar meeting, going over the weekend.
Who's here, who's new.
We don't really do that as much because we are bigger. It's mostly just our threads telling us what's going to happen throughout the weekend and making sure that everyone knows this is happening and that's happening. So you might remember in the last podcast I said that I really wanted to go up to the dungeon.
Yes.
So I did that. We got attacked by some sea creatures, and my crew decided that we all got yanked off the deck and swallowed by the sea creatures. So we started out in the dungeon, in the belly of these beasts, and we had to find a way out. It was very gross. I found several human organs just on the floor, and a bag of spiders. That was weird.
Yeah.
And we survived, and it was a very fun time.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that you got to go and experience the dungeon. I've experienced the dungeon a couple of times early on in MF1, but it's quite fun that this kind of change.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you've got to, even if it was the belly of a kraken.
Not a kraken.
Oh,
we
some
found
kind
out
of sea beast.
it's all very active game, but even though the thing that grabbed us had tentacles, it's not affiliated with the kraken at all. So that's going to be interesting to poke. So yeah, we survived, we escaped, we came back down to Haven, we washed up on the shore of a Kairosi beach because Haven was in Kairos this event. And my gosh, did the weather not let us forget that.
Yes, the weather was...
It was hot.
It was the best LARPing weather on the Saturday because it was cool throughout the day and then starting to warm up a little bit at night.
Yeah. So yeah, we got back to Port Arvis. Everyone thought that we were dead, so one of the groups has set up a shrine for all of the dead people that had died either in Port Arvis or on behalf of Port Arvis. And there was a little anchor that said the crew of the cruise, and that made us feel bad because we didn't die.
Yeah. Interestingly, there was a Hammerstatter on the cruise.
Yes, there was, and I actually had his wife come round and ask if anyone had seen him when we got back to Port Arvis, and I had to say, I'm so sorry, there were 3 sea beasts, and he wasn't in the stomach of the one that I was in the stomach of, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, he went on it, and I believe a couple of other Hammerstatters were very tempted to take that downtime because it's one thing for focusing on the military, and I think obviously we're in a war setting, but adventures and being a bit silly is part of the game, and
it's very nice to have that variety,
and
it gave us a lot to talk about, and a lot of like spicy, interesting, like quipping between people. So people being like, well, we defended El Zano this event, and it's like, well, we went on holiday.
Yep. We got eaten by a monster.
So yeah, that happened. We got back. Everyone got back safely.
Yep.
Some of our friends were in another sea beast stomach, and they found something cool, which is gonna be some ongoing plot for them. And yeah, aside from that, Friday was quite well. Before we performed, it was quite chilled.
Yeah.
We had a set at the Rum Locker. So myself, my first mate, and a couple of our friends from Port Arvis had arranged to do some singing, sing some shanties, sing some sea songs. We had a really nice time. It was a really nice vibe. I love performing at the Rum Locker because it's just such a nice space to perform. And we did that, and then you came and watched, which was lovely.
I came and watched, which is the first time I've managed to see you perform, save for the one time I forced you to perform to the captive audience of Dirk and Lucky Jacks.
Unlucky
Jacks,
Jacks at the end of last event, yeah.
After that, something did happen, but I won't talk about that because that is part of my hot snots and things.
Okay.
Yes.
It's also, we won't go into too much detail of active game either, because that's very much find out in play. We did have an encounter with some barnacle-y people, which was very nice until it wasn't. It's, again, active game going on for one of the bards that we performed with and another person in her group. So I won't go into too much detail, but it has led to a lot of interesting developments for those two characters.
Yes, yeah.
And we had a nice time with them. We gambled with them, we drank with them, and then one of them turned into a monster and had to be killed and cut down, and then the other one got really sad that we'd killed him and attacked us, and she also got killed.
Well, I mean, it's a safety thing. You don't want to... Our lives are more important than monsters.
Yeah. They had a nice time until they didn't. But that was my Friday.
That was your Friday?
That was my Friday.
Yeah. Saturday was... Yeah, it was overcast. It was a little bit chilly and things like that. There was the major thing that happened, which we'll kind of talk about a little bit more in detail, but the major thing that happened on Saturday was Commonwealth Day.
Yay, Commonwealth Day.
Which was kind of headlined by the Commonwealth Breakable Tournament of, I believe, it was meant to be just Portavus, Hammerstadt and Erdrevan. However, we ended up having another Hammerstadt team join who were crew learning the game a little bit and kind of just having a bit of fun. And then some more Valiant zombies who were ex-legends of Hammerstedt. Breakable, it turned out, which ended up with a lot of silly gameplay when they started to cheat.
Oh, did they?
I believe they paid off one of the refs, but other than that, I think we didn't do. I was heavily involved in some plots. About this new magical thing that was being, touted and sold in Hammerstedt that I wasn't too. It felt suspect, and then on investigation, all of my suspicions were confirmed that this was something that's not something that should be in the field, and that will be ongoing plot as well, because we've got weavings to do. I managed to watch my first weaving.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, it was an oracle weaving for this item glow wire, and we will now see what comes of it.
Yeah, weavings was a big overarching theme for both you and for our group this event, because
have you ever done a weaving?
I haven't led a weaving,
but no, did you see? Have you done a weaving in the last 2 events?
No, I hadn't done any weavings until this event.
That's it.
And I did 3 of them this event, which was very fun to take part in. It's very much an area of the game that I now do want to explore more. I've started cooking up some ideas, and yeah, we spent a lot of time on Saturday running around trying to find the Hansels for our friend's weaving that she was leading, and also getting things for your one, and yeah, it was great.
For those of you who aren't aware what a Hansel is, so when you want to do a weaving, which is the kind of a big rite ritual, you will fill in what's called a Hansel augury. You carry out a little ritual. At least this is coming from someone who is not a weaver, so I'm going to, probably blitz things together. But you get, and then you'll get a list of, okay, so if you want to answer questions, you need to gather this much power, this many levels of power, and these things.
Yes.
So the things we needed were an egg, a magnifying glass, and the item glow wire, which we managed to procure very quickly, and then we managed to do the weaving. But for Abby, our other crew members, Hansels, it was a lot more complicated.
Yes, she had. So you can have 2 different types of Hansels. You can have things called carded items, which are very specific items that will have a fizz rep and a little card attached saying this is this item.
Yep.
So things like
a gem of seeing is a Hansel.
Gem of seeing. One of the Hansels that Abby had to get was rigging from a specific Port Arvin ship,
which I managed to procure.
You did manage to procure it, but you can also have non-carded items, which are just the example from Abby's weaving was a smooth pebble. That could be any smooth pebble. It doesn't have to be a specific item.
Yeah, the egg and the magnifying glass were just the random, see if you can find them in the field, which we managed to find them quite quickly because a member of Rodrigo, the person who was leading the Oracle Weavings crew, had a magnifying glass. Which was perfect. And the egg, we just went around to various cafes and tents and said, do you cook eggs in the morning for breakfast? Have you got a spare? I can quickly borrow. We'll bring it back.
And Rodrigo held on to that egg the entire time he had it, to the point where when we got to the weaving, it was warm. Other than the weavings, Saturday morning, Portavas and Erdvan went off on a fight.
They did.
It was the first multi-nation fight that I know of that Portavas has been on.
And I kept putting in the feedback that I wanted, multi-nation plot for for Portavas. I was just hoping it would be with Hammerstedt.
It was a fun fight. We were off to recover some raptor eggs that had been stolen by pirates.
We know the Threads watch this as well.
Hi.
Hammerstedt plot with Portavas. It'll just be a fight between the 2 of us, to be honest. But we'll have fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was very nice to have that interaction because we've not really interacted with Erdvan at all. Which, considering they are a Commonwealth nation, it's because Hammerstadt's in the way.
You can come and meet in. We just do a group meet in the middle.
Well, up until this event, I hadn't really been into Urjavan as my character. I'd been in as an NPC.
Yeah.
But so it was really nice to sort of get to know people. Abby and I got dedicated to the Traveller by an Urjavani priest so that she could do cool things in the fight.
Yep.
And yeah, it was really fun. Something that I will touch on later on in the podcast is I personally didn't have a great time in that fight because rights have changed.
Yeah.
But I will touch on that later.
And that will be going in our feedback.
It will be going in the feedback as well.
I understand why the change got made, but also I think there's a balance to be struck.
Yeah. Saturday afternoon. I don't know. Oh, I did a lot of running around Saturday afternoon. I will touch on this in a little bit. The only, relevant thing of note after Commonwealth Day was the weavings that I took part in. And performing in the Rum Locker again.
Yeah, you performed. Yes, yeah.
Did you have anything else on?
That's kind of how you ended the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And that was a busy night at the Rum Locker. Everyone
Very
was
busy.
in, and there was a lot of the actual OC traders had come
Yeah.
down, which is great because it means that they get a bit of a time, and you've got a lot of space to perform in.
Yeah. Interestingly, we made a hell of a lot more tips on Friday night in the earlier slot than we did on Saturday night because it was so busy and people weren't getting up and down as much because the queue for the bar goes right through the middle of the tent, which I think is something that they might be talking about as a group to adapt and change up for next event. Yeah. Did you get up to anything after Commonwealth Day?
I mean, I was kind of ongoing with this Glowwire plot. I went and spoke with the Court of Daggers for the first time. Thank you to the member of the Court of Daggers that had a really lively and actually quite nice discussion and debate about the legal processes of the game, which was fascinating because there's an ongoing plot between, I believe, Morvalis and Urdravan, which again, really interesting, nothing to do with us, so I won't discuss it, but if you can find out some information about it, come and find out, come speak with some Urdravani in it. And I think that's it's really interesting seeing how the laws work and that the laws can be made. For example, it was announced quite early on Friday that you cannot give your faith to a vampire that does not worship the 12, which is so specific.
There must be a story there.
Yes, I believe there is.
It's like when you see a sign in a shop that's like, don't do this very specific thing, and you're like, there's a story there.
Exactly. So I think it was really interesting to go and be the Court of Daggers for a little bit because I'd never been it. It's not a side of the game that massively interests me. Though I know that a lot of other people absolutely love the game and more to them.
Yeah.
And I think other than that, on Saturday, I mean, we didn't have any skirmishy plans or anything like that. Last two events, Hammerstadt was so busy. We were off doing everything and anything and disappearing and reappearing. And this event felt much more slower paced. I think that's a good thing overall because we had time to be social.
Yes.
To discuss things, to politic, to, have a bit more of a debate. And also I got to meet a lot of other people more, in more depth and work with coteries in Hammerstedt that I'd not really worked with before and chatted to.
You spoke to so many people this event.
I did.
You are becoming the person that knows everyone and everyone knows.
I do know a lot of people, and I think that's a great thing. And I'm always interested in knowing more people. But it's nice to just have a really good nation to live in that all want the same thing, that all want to have fun and be a bit silly, and being a bit silly is very much our nation's wheelhouse. So there was a big fight.
There was, yes.
Valdraith lost a lot of people. And they had I believe in their massive incursion, then they were followed back by the corrupted forces. It was the Fallen and the Void again, because they've decided that to keep the Fallen and the Void as the main baddies this event and next event, and then slowly in the back of the scenes introduce the Terror and the Tyrant. And the Terror was definitely introduced this event.
They were, yes.
And sounds horrible.
Yeah.
That sounds like something you don't want to go anywhere near. But
you said that about the Void when they were first introduced, though.
Yeah.
So...
Which is brilliant for the game writers to just make it as worse and worse and worse.
Really ramping it up every time.
I did joke that I thought the fourth breakable team was going to be the Corrupted.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Instead we got more Valiant zombies.
We got more Valiant zombies and Hammerstatters as well.
Yeah.
So yes, then we had the fight. So a lot of us went over to kind of protect it because obviously they were at the time the biggest nation, and then they lost a third of their nation, so they became the second biggest nation behind Portibus, I think.
Really?
For a time. I'm guessing a few of them probably maybe respect as Valdraith for this event.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how Valdraith changes as a nation because of this.
Yeah.
Whether everyone respects back into Valdraith, or if they decide to go elsewhere.
Go and explore it. Suddenly the Wonder have 30 new people.
And they become the biggest nation.
Yep. I'd love that for them because I love the Wonder.
The Wonder is so chill.
So yes, but we went and had a fight there. That was quite a hairy fight because they it was lots of, a big force and lots of, retreats and, resupplies and running back in.
Yes, that happened just as we were getting back from our morning excursion.
And
so
we were knackered.
We were knackered. They were begging us to help, and we all just had to say, I'm really sorry, we've just gotten back from fighting.
Yeah.
We all need to go and sit in the rum locker and get our health points back.
Yeah, but Hammerstadt came in reasonable force. I think we had the majority of our fighting force. And
there was a lot of you going over, yeah.
And which is a good, we like to show that multi-nation approach.
Yeah.
And, that we are willing to help, even if it is the furthest across from us. We had enough time to set ourselves up and sing our little songs.
Yeah. Anything else on Saturday?
I don't think so, because I think it was just mainly plot and discussions and things like that. I mean, we monstered as well on, we were doing monstering, which again I will talk about in my Hots Nots and Forget Me Nots. As a whole, but so 8 till 10 we got the late night slot, which I know some people don't like. I really liked it. I thought while I was freezing cold while waiting for it, I thought it was a lovely kind of way to close out and wind down, particularly for someone like me who doesn't really drink, doesn't really like party, and I know that's when the drinking starts to kind of ramp up. So it's not massive, and you're probably not going to get a camp attack too late in the day. So it was nice to just go out and be a silly NPC. Yeah, which I'll talk about in a moment.
Little spoiler. Sunday.
Sunday was hot. It was hot. So we woke up, we struck the tents, and then we kind of just timed in. We knew that there was probably going to be a Hammerstadt incursion-y type thing because there tends to be at least one off-site.
But we also kind of knew that there might be a camp attack, because an important aspect of the Commonwealth Day is that our threads had arranged for us to not get attacked between 2 and 6 on Saturday afternoon. And we didn't get attacked Saturday morning, so we kind of knew that something was going to happen to our camps. And a little bit more on that in a bit. Portibus were monstering from 12 till 2, which is the last slot of the event.
Again, another slot that people aren't hugely au fait with.
I wasn't a fan of it because even though we NPC'd this time and we only spent just over an hour as NPCs, it very much felt like Sunday was rushed because we had 2 hours of time in before the slot and only an hour officially after the slot. And it was an awkward time to split that time up.
I think that the monstering slot on the Sunday between 12 and 2 should go to Friday 6 or Friday 8 to 10.
Yeah, even if it was shifted back by an hour and was 1 till 3, so that you could just
finish off
as a monster and not have to worry about getting back into kit for an hour left of the game. It was still fun. We had a silly fun time as NPCs. I probably won't go into too much detail about it in this podcast because I've had my NPC adventure in the last one. But it did mean that Sunday morning was just a lot of, 1, filling time before we went off to do that, and 2, trying to wrap up everything because we wouldn't have a huge amount of time afterwards.
It's like when you have a thing you're meant to do at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've got your doctor's appointment at 1, so you can't do anything beforehand because you know that you're going to have to stop it partway through. It's that level of almost like decision paralysis.
Yeah. I'd say the only significant thing I did on Sunday was I helped out with a Valdraith fable weaving, which I will not talk about at all because it is very active plot that we've been told to be hush-hush about.
That's their game.
It's their game. It's going to come out... The effects of that are going to come out in the next event. So if you're in Valdraith, have fun looking around for that and know that I was involved in it.
Yep.
And it was a fun time. It was very good weaving.
We had some NPCs. Coming into Hammerstadt. A large group of NPCs that look suspiciously like Wonderfolk. I don't know. Suspiciously like I saw them and know one of them, OC. They came in chanting because they were upset that the Void had attacked Hammerstadt again. And that they'd lost their businesses, and basically, saying you need to give us money to start again.
So they came in begging.
Yeah, which is not in the charter.
It's not
we
in the
don't
charter.
beg. We don't give handouts. You work for an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And they were, there was some tense arguments. It is. There were some tense arguments, both between the NPCs and a few of the PCs, talking about setting a dodgy precedent for Hammerstadt, but also between the other Hammerstadt nation. Some of them were very much on the idea of we got to help these people out and pitch in, those kind of things. And then there was a group of us that were saying, well, no, go work, go build yourself back up again.
So these NPCs were basically there to stir the pot and to get some mild PvP going between the capitalist Hammerstatters and the communist Hammerstatters.
And I think it worked really well. And most importantly, I will say thank you to the person who did the check-in with me OC post the kind of when everyone started spreading around, just to kind of say that they didn't like being the bad guy and they felt like they were but it was good game for both of us, but also for the OC check-in from the player of Yorick after we had a bit of a shouting match where he was just shouting at me to read the charter. And so, which they just arrived back from that fable weaving. And they were very much on the side of, let's give them some money. They went around and gathered, the money they needed to essentially pay them to go away. And I did not give a single saga.
No, you stuck to your guns or stuck to your crossbows because guns don't exist in this
I said,
world.
bury me at sea and I'll sink with all my money.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a really good moment for Hammerstadt to see the two sides, because there are two very distinct sides of Hammerstadt. There's the aristocratic side, which kind of I'm in, where we are at the opera, but we're also hard workers. So the sweetsmith is, he's down the factory most days working away, but he's also, then he doesn't really frequent the breakable stadiums very often. He is an opera fan. He is a theatre fan. He'll go and get the Songbird to perform. However,
in town.
And then there's the other side of Hammerstadt, which is much more. It's socialistic. It's them kind of working together. All as a team and things like that. And there is a place for both, and it's the kind of it's high class, low class, but not in a class divide way.
No, it's very much. You're all working class, but some are what we would consider working class, even though the upper class still work for their money. They're not like landed gentry.
No,
Everyone
we
works
don't
for their keep.
We don't do kings.
No, we don't do kings in the Commonwealth. No. Now that we've concluded our little recap, we're going to go into our hots, nots, and forget-me-nots. I believe last time we did mine first. Why don't we start with yours first?
Sure. So my hot is I got corrupted.
Oh.
Yes. I became corrupted. I think I'm the first person in our little group to gain a point to get some corruption. There was like a little mini kind of encounter that happened in the field where one of our members of Hammerstadt came and said they found a cursed item and they were holding it on the edge of their pike, essentially, kind of just saying like, don't go near it. And there was a thread just circling. So like, well, why don't we take it to the Treasure Hunters Guild, because they tend to deal with like magic items. And they were like, no, we're not touching that. So why don't we take it to the Guardians, to the Menhir? And they were like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So we went to the Menhir, grabbed a Guardian, and suddenly I had a whisper in my ear from the thread going, you could take that. I think you could take it. And I was like, yeah, I probably could. I think I could. And so, I was starting to kind of, it seemed like it had an aura of corruption. From what I understand is if you did take it, you would just suddenly start fighting everyone. So I was initially going to, I'd relinquish my weapons because I was like, look, why don't you just give it to me and test it? Because they'd uncorrupted one of the people who originally had it.
Oh, right.
But we were working out if they'd uncorrupted it or the item.
Right.
Well, sorry, them, the person.
The person or the item. Yeah.
So I said, well, let's test it, and I gave my weapons away, which was annoying because I would have, used them if I'd turned it. And so they weren't paying attention to it, so I just grabbed it and ran. And I was running back to the thread to ask, what do I do now? Hoping that he'd say, go and start fighting everyone. In which case it would probably devolve into some grappling. Yeah, because I had no weapons. But then literally about 5 Hammerstatters just ganged up on me and took me straight down, and then took the thing away, but then didn't heal me for about 60 seconds until I started shouting. It's not happy about that. Heal first. Come on, guys.
I mean, you are a healer.
Yeah.
So
I can't heal myself.
No, you can't heal yourself, but you're allowed to have these opinions on healing.
Yeah. And then it turned out that they kind of took me away, and we were all still trying to grab it occasionally. All of us were going, no, I could grab it, and then they were going, no. And we were all going for, like, at one point, I was going to go for it again, but they took us back to a place, and then they said, they got a priest to check if I was corrupted. And I was like, look, I'm not. I played it as though I was adamantly not corrupted. Of course, and I started going into the more aristocratic, like, I am not, this is ridiculous. So I went and did that. It turned out I had a point of corruption, because the thread said, do you have any corruption on you now? And I was like, no, I don't. And it's like, yeah, you got 1 point of corruption. I was like, what does that mean? Because I didn't find out in the end, because I don't think they were just kind of a bit too busy. But I said, look, I'll take the amulet, and we'll leave it until tomorrow. We're all tired. We all want to go to bed. This is about 10 o'clock at night as well.
Right. Yes.
So let's go. Let's take it home, and we'll just deal with it another time. Yeah. And they were like, no, we'll kill you if you touch the amulet again. I was like, fair enough.
Fair.
So they took us over to Morvalis. It turned out it was some kind of Morvalis relic, and they fixed it. And then someone else uncorrupted me, so I am now no longer corrupted. But it was quite fun playing that.
Yes. Yeah. I can imagine.
Being a menace and going, I'm going to steal it and take it. Because at one point, no one was looking at the amulet, and I just went... and that's when someone saw it, just pulled my hand away. So what was your hot?
My hot is less a specific moment and more the fact that I did what I wanted to do this event, in that I managed to find a balance between getting involved in plot, in my nation's plot, knowing what was going on, and getting to be a bard and a performer. I got a lot more context on the fight that happened last event with Portavus. I have a lot more context for what that whole plot line is about. And this was thanks to talking to the Barnacle people on Friday evening. Yep. And I got given some plot by one of our threads, which was absolutely lovely. They were the one to point those NPCs in my direction on Friday, because he wanted me to be able to talk to them. And also got me involved in trying to organise a quest on the Saturday, which didn't end up going through. More on that in a bit. But yeah, I came out of the weekend feeling like I had both contributed to the game in a meaningful way, and also gotten to have the bardic moments, and a lot of that was through the weavings that I got to do, because the weavings that I wasn't an active part in, I just took my little hand drum that I bought and contributed by doing some background music and percussion for those weavings. And I really enjoyed it, and so I want to try and do that more going forward. It's always going to be a balancing act. The downside is that I didn't really use any of my skills aside from in the weavings this event. But it's always going to be a balancing act, and I think overall I just had a much better time this event, so I think that's going to be my
you did seem to be really, really engaged with lots of things.
And I actually did take up a lot of the advice from the plot episode that we talked about. In that if someone asked me, hey, do you know about this thing? I went, no, I don't. Can you tell me more?
Yep, that's it. That's all you need to do. If you don't know, if someone comes up asking, have you got this? And it's like, what is it?
Yeah.
You know, if someone asks for glow wire, ask what it is.
Yeah.
And then say, no, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a Hammerstadt thing.
Yeah. And there was still loads of plot that I didn't get to get involved with, because there's always going to be stuff that you don't get to get involved with, but I got involved in a lot more. I got to speak to a lot more people than I usually do at these events, and for me that's very scary because I am shy and I am introverted, but it was totally worth it because I had some really fun interactions this weekend. So yeah. Bit of a cop-out because the entire weekend was my heart, but it was specifically the fact that I got to do what I wanted to do and what I knew I needed to do.
Yeah. Right, so let's talk about the knots.
Yeah. Again, these are... We'll do you first. Again, these are not, oh, the toilets were gross, oh, the weather was hot. These are specific game things that could potentially be worked on either from our end or from the organisers' end. These are constructive. They're not just gripes that we've had in the game.
Yeah.
So what was your knot?
Yeah, as you said, it's not about the the toilets and things like that. I think the toilets were overall average.
Yeah,
really.
They're just LARP toilets.
They have dropped in quality since the last two events. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But the for me, my knot. I was considering talking about safety again because there was at least one or two instances where people were letting the adrenaline pass through them without considering the consequences of their actions.
But I think that is just going to be a thing across the board sometimes.
And that's the thing that if you see happen, you OC stop it, and you OC challenge it, and you report it to a ref. All right? If you don't feel safe going, slow down, or that's hitting too hard, go and find someone in yellow, speak to a thread, which is what we did. Yeah. But my knot is, and I think it's probably going to be very similar to your knot, timing.
Yes. Yeah.
Is yours timing?
No, mine isn't timing. But it does kind of play into it.
Okay.
So you speak your piece, and then I'll speak mine.
Everyone is doing too much, and I think the game itself needs to slow down slightly.
Just a little bit.
I think we only had 4 or 5 camp incursions. I quite like the camp incursions because it breaks up the day. Everyone was, but the timings of things things getting pushed back, especially on Sunday. And I know this is just a logistical thing, but I think then that's something to learn for the future is to do less. Yeah. Because our initial plan was, about 12. We had a gathering of something saying that our thread had gone missing and was dealing with some was caught by the corrupted potentially, and that's going to happen at 12. And we're like, brilliant. Okay, so we need a lot of people, more people than the nation has. Yes. So we were going to go and raid Portivus, but obviously when we found out it was at 12. That's when their monstering slot was. We knew that Portivus would be there in some way or form, probably against us. So we went to Cyrodinia, we went to Who Love Us Fight, we went to Morvalis, who have worked with us before, and then everyone gathered at 12, only to be told to come back at 1. It was 29 degrees, there is very little shade, in Haven, aside from underneath the awnings of tents, which is not enough for potentially 70 people.
Yeah.
We need to know these things beforehand, and it's, you know, and also we were kind of then excited, and then it gets to 1. Okay, we're at 1, we're all gathering, and then the gathering takes about 15 minutes, and then the walking to the mini Menhir to go through the rift takes about 15 minutes, and then walking up takes about 10 minutes, and then walking up takes about 50, waiting more. So everything just kept getting pushed back and back and back.
Put it this way, we were NPCing, we gathered at 12, we were done by about 1:15. We were coming back into Haven when you guys were queuing to go up the hill.
Yep.
That's how much it got pushed back.
Yeah. And I know that is not the fault of anyone, because it's just timekeeping, but I think we need to do less in order to do more.
I also, just to add on to this, something we discussed in the field was some nations were getting one or, like, just the one camp excursion. Other nations were getting 2 or more.
Yeah.
And I think it might be useful to try and limit it to 1 per nation.
At least in the first instance, and then up it 2 more.
Unless that they are small, plot-specific things for smaller groups, much like skirmishes at other systems.
Because it ended with our skirmish of, you know, we gathered 70 people. We had to split them in half and do 2 different things.
And that's just poor communication at that point.
Where we could have, you know, all gone up Hammerstedt, and it was just Hammerstedt in the first one.
Yeah.
And then there was some weaving stuff going on. That's why we kind of needed more Valorous, because a lot of After weavers and our 2 Hammerstedt weavers, who are fantastic players, love them to bits. But they then really probably didn't come on the first fight. And missed out on that Hammerstedt plot. I know one did join us, but I think the other one was still kind of stuck down with Morvalis at the time. And it's just felt a lack of organisation, and I would prefer the feeling I had at the first event, where the field was flooded with NPCs.
Yes. More things coming into Haven, less things going out, I think is the general consensus.
Yeah, at least that's from us.
Yeah.
Some people may disagree with that, but I like...
Yeah.
I like people coming in and having a chat with us.
It involves more people, because we had... I'll go on to this more in my knot, but we had 2 mini Portavan excursions on Saturday night. One that we knew about for most of the day, and one that came into camp, was poorly communicated, was meant to be spread throughout Port Arbus, was only given to one person who then didn't spread it, so they were rushed and had to do it like within an hour.
Yeah.
But those 2 excursions went out practically at the same time.
About 5 minutes between each other, because that's when I was NPCing and...
But because of that, it meant that the Portavan fighting block were effectively split in 2, and people that were meant to go on the one that I was organising ended up going on the first one, whereas it would have been better to have the plot for that first one that went out before mine come into camp.
Yep.
I've been told that was a very fun excursion, and I kind of wish I'd gone on it because it sounded terrifying. But it was just a lot too much happening in too short a time frame.
Yeah. That's it. You know, and these, again, this is not just having a moan up. It's trying to offer suggestions and putting that. But that, you know, when MF1 happened, and even MF2, we saw loads of people coming in with, you know, in fact, we had investors coming in to actually pay towards buildings, which was brilliant. We had, you know, we had members of the Velical University come in.
Yeah, that was fun.
And that made the game feel more alive.
Yes.
It made the world feel more alive. And then you have the going off to another area, while great fun, and it's good to, you know, have a ruck and you know, give the skirmish crew enrichment by killing us. It's more that I would prefer more stuff in Haven.
Yeah. But it's something that they, again, much like it's a balance for us every event, they need to find a balance every event. They're constantly changing things, so... And
it's testing to find out what works, and it is working, and we are having fun.
Yes, we're still having a lot of fun.
But you've got to have a knot.
Yes, exactly.
It's the rules.
Yeah. Well, my knot is something that I need to premise is no one's fault. It is just an unfortunate situation. So I'm not having a go at players or crew or anyone involved because it's already kind of been resolved for next event. I was given the chance on Friday night to get involved in a potentially deadly, very nasty fight, was I think the way that Rafe put it.
Yes.
And my group are not fighters, so we kind of went,
Okay, yeah, you weren't 100%.
No, we weren't 100%. So he offered us the chance to maybe come back to it if it was still going on Saturday.
Yep.
The plot was given to another player,
Yep.
which is absolutely fine. That player had an OC emergency and needed to be off-site for a bit, so it was given to me. I didn't know, and neither did anyone else, really know who had been signed up for this excursion and who hadn't. So I spent a lot of time running around trying to figure that out, and when I figured that out, I then had to run around and find 20 to 25 people for this excursion, which pretty much took up my entire Saturday afternoon.
That was your Saturday afternoon.
I was OC a little bit stressed about it, IC very stressed about it.
Yeah.
It did have some nice upsides. I got to speak to a lot of Cyrodianians, who were absolutely lovely. I think I got about 10 Cyrodianians on board.
You did, yeah.
Which was about half the numbers. And I was feeling very accomplished. And then the original player character who was meant to be leading this came back. And I felt very wobbly about that.
Yeah.
I spoke to the thread that had given the opportunity to me, because it wasn't their fault, and it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't the thread's fault that it turned out this way. But I was quite disappointed to not be the one leading it.
I think the disappointment is completely valid, and it's not that you're targeting anything, but
No.
it's that thing of, when you've put the work into a project, and then to have someone come back and just take all the hard work you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also, they managed to get some other Portavans last minute, because of this other excursion that went out. A lot of the people that were signed up to go and do it ended up leaving. So I don't know if they'd spoken to them beforehand. That information had just been lost. Yeah. But it was very odd, kind of tagging along to it. Kind of very scared that my character would die because I wasn't the one holding the thing that would make me safe. Yeah. And it has been clarified to me that it didn't actually get to go ahead this event because there was some OC health and safety things at the point.
Yeah, there was a lot of things up in the forest that needed kind of digging. I think they put some planks out for the next when we went the day up there. So there's clearly some holes that were just not safe enough. Yeah.
Which is fair enough. It did mean that we were sat around the monstering tent for about half an hour waiting to hear whether we'd be able to go up or not. Yeah. And in the end, I think I was actually quite glad that it didn't go ahead because it meant that I was getting more and more overstimulated by being around a group of very chatty people with very little reprieve. And OC was feeling still quite wobbly about this, even though I was involved to a point. I was the player character's second. So I was there to step in if they needed to bow out.
But I think even if my thoughts with that is, and I know this is going to disagree with your thoughts, are if you are even considered to the point where you might need to bow out, you probably shouldn't go on a deadly skirmish because you're putting other people at risk for your own ego. If they died, that's not fair because
it is something that I'm still sort of coming to terms with. Because I simultaneously felt bad for myself and guilty for them, because either way, one of us was not going to be able to be the leader or the quote-unquote important person on this skirmish. But it's kind of been resolved because I've been told by the thread that gave me the opportunity that next event it will be going forward and they will be giving it to both of us. I don't know in what capacity, but I have been told it will be bigger and better.
Okay, that's good.
So again, this isn't really something that I can offer proper feedback for. But
it's still a not.
It's still a not. It is just an unfortunate situation that I had to deal with on Saturday, or rather that I dealt with on Saturday. Which is why I ended up going back to the rum locker, having a drink, and singing a few songs, because
Yep.
I needed to end on a high.
Yes, and you did. It was a
I
fantastic gig. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So what was your forget-me-not?
So my forget-me-not, and this is going to be a cop-out, but my forget-me-not is the nation of Hammerstadt. And the nation of Hammerstadt is the best nation on the field. There are no questions about it.
See, I just have to choose that every time anyone in Hammerstadt says that, it's very tongue-in-cheek, because...
We believe it, that's the problem.
Maybe you're the egotistical ones.
We are, 100%. So yeah, but the nation itself came together in this event and did absolutely so many things. But the main part of that is that it's not just the nation, it's the players themselves that is my forget-me-not. And the reason for it is my NPCing.
Oh.
So when we NPC'd, when we went to our monstering slot between 8 and 10, a load of people from it was Hammerstadt and Avaro, which coincidentally is the same group that on Sunday on MF1 did the big fight that won and Haven lost. So
Dream team, basically.
Yeah, the dream team, the most dangerous fighting force in Haven. Thankfully no gods were almost died in the process of this one. But I chose non-combat. I was umming and ahhing, but I think I hadn't done a lot of combat in this event, and it was 8 o'clock, I was a bit tired. So I went, you know what, I'm going to NPC. I'm going to give it a go, because you spoke so highly of it in the last recap. So, there was 8 of us from Hammerstadt, and we were given the brief. You are Kairosi students on a cultural exchange to Haven. You need to go to Erdrevan and find out what they do with their dead and annoy them so much they ask you to leave.
Great brief.
Yeah.
Just
great
putting
brief.
it out there. So fun.
And perfect for Hammerstadt. Because if
So
there's one
good.
thing we can be, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
So we all got ourselves dressed up, and I was wearing a blue Kairosi kind of smocky outfit.
Like a
Everyone else,
chiton.
yep.
Yeah.
And then we all decided that we were identical octuplets. Oh no, we were identical, non-identical septuplets and an adopted brother.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And we were all called Savros. Savros 1, Savros 2, Savros 3, Savros 4, Savros 5, Savros 6, Savros 7, who was the adopted one, and Savros 8, who was the one of the other septuplets, just to be as confusing as possible. And
Oh, God.
just the fun we had going into Erdrevan, because we started off by going straight to a bar and begging for drinks. I think we paid 4 saga in total for a drink for everyone.
Wow.
For 8 shots.
Wow.
And it was very much just give it to them and they'll go away. So yes, we were then after that we went and spoke to a few other Erdreveni about our silliness, and we were essentially told to challenge them to race at a 2-meter foot race.
Oh my
or
goodness.
anything else, just to prove that Kairosi were the best of everything. And we decided, we were speaking to one of the threads. All of us were kind of just really working off each other really well, and talking about how we did find out how they deal with their dead, and then we all just said, but Kairosi just don't die. Which I think is still true. I think no Kairosi have died on the field yet.
No, I think one has.
Oh, one has.
I was checking the Discord this morning, and I think one did. I don't know whether it was this event or last event.
Then
but...
I'm afraid that means that Hammerstadt take the crown. No losses. 3 events. We are the only nation now.
Don't give Hammerstadt the crown, they'll blow it up.
Exactly. We will. No losses. Long may that continue.
Someone's going to die at E4 now.
Yeah, probably me.
Yeah, probably you.
No, so yeah, the 8 of us just really bounced off of each other, and it wasn't just the same 8 coterie. It was people from different coteries, and it just showed how well we all gel. And one person that I'd never really role played with at all, but they were just so lovely.
Aww.
And I think they may have struggled a little bit getting into the true wackiness of what we were doing, but we were just building and building and building and building.
That does just happen with NPCing.
Yeah.
You get to know people in the nation that you would never interact with otherwise.
Yeah. We booed Rodrigo as he left.
Deserved.
Yeah, and we said that Kairosi boats are better than Portobus boats. We
Not
were proper,
deserved. No.
proper going for it. I know, it's all silliness. And yeah, but it was nice being a different nation, and just kind of maximum fun. And I think that's what I like about the NPCing side of it. And you were saying this yesterday as we were driving back. NPCing is the perfect gateway to going, oh, maybe I could do some crewing.
Yeah.
Maybe I could go and, just jump in and grab an outfit and nip off. And I think we both agreed that if and when we die, if it's in the middle of an event, we will just go to the crew tent, sign up for the rest of the event, rather than remake a character that is we've still got all the same kit. Just go, look, do you need a crew member, an extra crew member? I'll happily go and fight. I'll happily go and do whatever you need. Just give me, point and shoot me.
Because our whole group has kind of decided that if and when our characters do die,
we're all going to be
until we all are ready to move over, we've kind of made the decision that we'll just crew events until everyone's ready.
Yep. I mean, I'm interested to seeing, potentially, I will maybe look into potentially being a thread or something as well.
I think you'd be a good thread.
But
would you be a Hammerstadt thread? Or
I would
you
like
go
to
for
be a
another...
Hammerstadt thread, because I do quite like Hammerstadt.
Yeah.
It's definitely the perfect nation for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my forget-me-not, is the nation and the people of the nation, because they make the game better for me.
Yeah. The people of Haven in general, I love them with my whole heart.
Yeah.
I love your guys, I love my guys, I love everyone that I've had interactions with. Everyone just brings their loveliest selves to the field.
They do.
And it's really nice to see.
Yeah. So what was your forget-me-not?
I've kind of touched on this already, but my forget-me-not was the first weaving that I got involved with this event, because it was something that I had spoken to the player character that was organising last event, at sort of hour before timeout, very end of the event. They wanted to do a fable weaving.
Yep.
I have now respect to be full fable, so it's kind of the thing that I want to go for. Where they wanted to enchant the guild rats of the Treasure Hunters Guild to be able to carry messages for people with mobility difficulties or any disabilities that would prevent them from being able to walk around Haven all day. Because it is a big site, and LARP tries to be as accessible and accommodating as possible, but at the end of the day it is still camping in a field. And
it's not exactly a completely flat field. It is farmland.
It is farmland, so it's a little difficult to move around sometimes. So I was absolutely down for that. They approached me this event and said, hey, we've got everything we need for it. We're going to be doing it at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And I went, excellent, I will be there because I've written a song for it.
Yeah.
And this is a song that I have written entirely myself. Usually I will do what is called filking, where you rewrite lyrics to already composed songs. So my All for Elandra is a filk of Roll Northumbria by the Dreadnoughts. This song I wrote from scratch, and I was joking all weekend that I must have been touched by the muse, because it kind of all came out of me in one go, which is how I tend to write songs anyway. It happens once in a blue moon and they come out fully formed. So we did this weaving. It was really nice. There was some... I think it was all Portavans. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And we enchanted these guild rats. I sang my song. The guardian that was there at the time overlooking our weaving had some bells and she was jingling along to it. We had quite a few of the treasure hunter guild masters spectating. A very cute moment. We had 3 of the rats there and they got to speak for themselves to the Menhir, which was very cute. And as first weavings go, I think it went really well.
Yeah.
It was successful because, again, it is an OC accessibility aid in an IC way. And everyone really liked my song to the point where I was invited to go and perform it at the Treasure Hunters Guild. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I will be doing it next event.
Yep.
It is a song that will be entering my repertoire as a bard.
We will get a recording up for it as soon as we can.
We will get a recording up for it.
I think from what you told me, and obviously I wasn't there for that weaving, it's nice to see how broad weavings can be.
Yes.
And how interesting and different, because it was very different to the weaving that I observed with my oracle weaving. And I'm sure it'll be very different for when I do the air weaving that I need to plan out next event. So it's really nice to see the difference in how people go about it, and that's part of the beauty of the game and the system that's been designed, is that, you know, it's not just everyone in a circle chanting or, you know, waving the hands around. You can do it in song, you can do it in performance art, in dance.
You could probably get the peacocks in and do a breakable game or breakable game as a weaving.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it was a really special moment. The guildmasters did tell me that it reduced a few of them to tears, my song, which was a hell of a compliment.
The guildmasters are fantastic.
They are fantastic.
They've put in so much work, because they're their own characters, but they've got their own individual plot lines. I didn't get to do any real like Adventurers Guild quests.
No, we didn't.
Maybe MF4 I might try and see if there's anything going.
Yeah.
I know that the builders did.
They
went off on a couple of things, but I would quite like to do that, because I really enjoyed those little missions.
Another nice aspect of the outcome of that weaving was that when I went back on Sunday to help with the Valdrathi fable weaving, the same guardian was there, and she was so happy to see me.
Oh, that's good.
Because she recognised me, and I said, unfortunately, I'm not singing in this one because I haven't had time to prepare a song, but I will be doing some drumming.
Good. Yeah.
And that was really nice.
It shows that people recognise the songbird as well as almost as much as the sweetsmith at this point, and you are getting a name for yourself as a fantastic fable weaver. There's a lot of fable weavers in other nations, and there's loads, I believe, in Valdraith. But it's nice that there are fable weavings being done and remembered that are so memorable and interesting with other nations, and for, you know, for the good of Haven as a whole. It seems. Yeah. Because that as an accessibility thing, it's an accessibility item, but then it's being made in game, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, absolute shout out and massive props to the player who organised that, came up with the idea and wrangled people for it, because I think it's just such a wonderful idea, and as soon as I heard about it, I knew I wanted to be on board.
Absolutely. All right, is that all of them? Is that everything?
I think so, yeah. I think we've done our hots, we've done our knots, we've done our forget-me-nots. And I think that brings us to the end of recapping that event.
So it's time to look forward.
We're time to look forward, yes.
So the big changes between MF2 and 3, there was a 3-month gap. Lots of changes kind of, you know, were looked at. And then, of course, the biggest change of all was announced about a week ago, is that we are no longer going to be at Bygrave Woods, the site where MFs 1, 2 and 3 have been. We are now moving to Telford, or just outside of Telford.
Weston Park.
To Weston Park, which apparently is a stately home area. So there's loads and loads and loads of space.
Loads of land. They've also been hosting Curious Pastimes for a very long time, so they know what they're doing when it comes to hosting.
So a bit more of a drive for us down south, but a bit less of a drive for those up north. So it's a balancing act, and you know what? The game is so fun, it could be in Aberdeen and I would still arrange to go. So that's the big change. Another change that's kind of come in is weaving rights have changed.
Yes. A lot of the rights for different spheres have been changed. Some spheres have had rights removed entirely. So the Forge sphere had a right called Harmony that removes bad or negative RP effects that our friend Ben used a lot last event. And has been replaced with something else. Oracle rights have been changed a lot. The divination right has been specifically changed because I think it was being used as just a knee-jerk reaction to any plot was, okay, let's do a divination right on it. Which was, of course, putting a lot of strain on the plot team.
And not only that, I think it kind of takes away from the game itself. Because essentially it's I need to know something, or let me look at the plot. Let me look at the synopsis quick. Let me check the wiki.
Yeah. Whereas I think you can still do that with Oracle Weavings,
Yes.
but it takes a lot more effort. So Rodrigo is running around a lot this weekend doing Oracle Weavings for people and organising Oracle Weavings for people.
You know, I couldn't just do a divination for what Glowwire is. I had to do an Oracle Weaving, and that was more fun.
Yeah.
Personally.
Also, it would have given you more information because I think divination was like very abstract in the answers it gave you, whereas this was the ability to find out what it actually is. Another big change was that you can't move whilst casting rites.
Yeah.
Before you could move at a walking pace, you couldn't run, but you could move around and you could walk, which meant that casting rites in battle was quite a dynamic thing. I am personally not a fan of this change.
I'm in that boat too. I think, you know, obviously you can't fight or anything like that, and you shouldn't be able to sprint around.
No.
But you should be able to move slightly, move closer, move back, for example, if the line is coming back.
To put it this way, last event I had so much fun casting the Fable Rites that I had access to, specifically in battles, because I could move around and I could feel like part of the fight. This time I tried to do that, but having to stay still was stressful. I got mass rendered whilst trying to cast a rite. I had rites overload and then just felt really like dissuaded from trying again because at that point I'd spent a minute trying to cast this rite, it had failed, and the fight was over. It felt very unsatisfying being a battle caster, and you could argue that weavers are not battle mages in the same way that mages are. There's got to be a payoff there. But then you look at the weaving right lists,
and there's a lot of things like Crush and Rend and
a lot of them are
Burning
combat
Taunt
focused.
and those kind of things.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed is that, and I think this will then come into them perhaps maybe not, you know, retconning the decision entirely, but rejigging it, is that with a rite such as the Grand Reveal, which I know is, you know, under advisement anyway, because they're discussing things like telling NPCs only being able to tell the truth. But the Grand Reveal, as a Fable Weaver, you are inherently a performer. The Fae performers. Fae don't stand still.
No.
The Grand Reveal should not just be like a, you know, I'm going to make you do this, I'm calling on this, that.
Yeah.
That's not that. When I saw it being cast by Rainier, our Breakable captain, they were circling the person.
That's exactly what we did in the Court of Daggers. We walked in a circle that was the perimeter of the truth circle that we were telling.
It takes away the element of performance.
It does, yeah.
So I think that's something that perhaps, you know, that will go in the feedback.
Yeah, that will definitely be going in the feedback. Especially as a Fable Weaver, the two rites that I can use in battle cause stagger and... what's the other one? There's two rites that I can do in battle. One is stagger and the other one does something else. They both take a minute to cast. The rites that my friend can do as water in battle take 30 seconds to cast. So it's much less danger and risk for them to stand still for 30 seconds to cast their rites that let them stun people than it is for me to stand by myself for a minute just to be able to stagger someone. So I think either, if they're going to stick with you have to stand still, all battle rites need to be 30 seconds maximum, because a lot can change in a minute. If you're trying to cast a rite that calls Crush on someone that you've seen is in heavy armour, by the time you finish that, they're down and are going back to respawn.
I think another point with that as well, and this is the thing that I 100% agree with, that rites don't work through the rift anymore.
Yes.
I agree. I think that is a good balance.
Yes.
That is a very good balance, and I know there are a few people that disagreed with that, but also it just means that you're basically just buffing your soldiers, and which is something that you can do. That's what weavings are for. as well. And I would prefer, and I like the idea of, everyone running in. All right, so our weavers are kind of in the background. They're doing their rights. If they are, able to move around and move back if it's a push. Because if it's push, they either, lose that right, an overload, or potentially overload, or they get themselves cleaved, destroyed, whatever.
And
yeah,
I think it has to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, what was happening this event is because they didn't work going through the rift, every fight was, okay, we have to all stand still for a minute before the fight happens to cast these rites that we have been doing whilst walking.
Yeah.
And I'm totally up for that being a part of battle strategy, is protecting the squishy weavers whilst they work their magic to help everyone else.
Yeah.
But it needs to be responsive to the needs of the battle. It can't be standing still.
Yes, I agree. And those are the major changes. I'm sure there will be some more changes. And what I would like to do is, now that I'm kind of set up on streaming and you'll be set up on streaming, it may be that when some of these patch notes come out, I would like to start jumping onto a quick stream, going through them with people, and then perhaps uploading that as a second video.
Yes. Because they also changed some of the calls this event. They've removed things like distract.
Yes.
And they've removed some other calls that were just deemed unnecessary, which I think is a good thing, because there are so many calls in this game. I have about 2.5 pages of notes just copying them out from the wiki.
Yes. And looking forward to MF4, to actually MF4, what are your plans? Do you have anything bubbling away? Any weavings that you want to propose?
I have a couple of weaving ideas, more for when we have more of an icy space, which is going to be a next year project.
Yes.
The big thing that I want to be able to achieve at MF4 is to poke some personal plot.
Yep.
Because we have a Remembrance Festival coming up in Port Arvis, and I think my character is going to want to commission an oracle weaving from Rodrigo to find out some stuff from her past, or some current stuff that's going on for her. I also want to keep funding my build. I put another 5 myths into my build this event, and I want to specifically organise a fundraiser concert to get that build going. Yes. And if it takes into next year, it takes into next year. I didn't realise it was 2 legends and something overall. I thought it was a lot less than that.
That's still doable in one event, as we now know from our wonderful Clemencery.
Yes, very much so. So I'm going to be pushing that and trying really hard to keep a balance between getting involved and getting to Bard.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for next event?
So I would like to continue the investigation into Glowwire.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, I was approached by a member of the Coterie of Embers about potentially going and visiting one of my build projects.
Oh, yes,
to go and negotiate some Hansels for a big weaving that they're planning, which would be really great. I'm excited for that.
That would be really fun.
And I just kind of want to see what happens, really. I'm excited to see the new site. I would like to continue doing my usual thing, healing. It seems like I've spoken with a very good friend of mine who came to this event and joined a different nation, and they might be moving over to Hammerstadt, so they might come and hang around with us a little bit.
That would be fun. I'd like to hang out with them more.
Yes. But I think that is it for the podcast.
I think so, yeah.
Because it's a long one already.
It is a long one already. We did a lot this weekend.
Yes. And we have, so I'm going to go and edit this to get it up for Wednesday, but we will have one podcast coming out in the next few weeks, because we do have a new LARPer who came and met us at MCM, joined the Wonder, and we cannot wait to interview them about their first experience ever LARPing.
Gonna be a good one.
The even better thing is that I specifically said, do not tell us anything about what you did, because we want to hear it. In the podcast, and we want to get their hots, nots, and forget-me-nots, and we want to make sure that they're coming back.
So there we have it. That was our somewhat brief recap of Menhir's Fate Event 3.
So before you go, please make sure you like this video, you subscribe to our channel and our channels below, you follow us on all of our socials. We'll put down our Twitches now. Give us a follow on that, because we are now streaming. it's been fantastic talking to you today.
Absolutely. And if you want to, head down to the comments, share your hots nots and forget-me-nots and any plans you have going into MF4.
Yep, if you've got a weaving, if you're doing anything, sneaky, if you've got Court of Daggers stuff, just let us know. We're so excited.
We really want to hear.
And then most importantly, come see us in the field, come say hello. We'd love to meet you in character.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for watching, and guys, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
So, I have been Steve, and I'm also known as the Sweet Smith.
I'm Ella. I'm also the Songbird.
See you later.
See ya.